Took me about 2 hours to get my head straight and to walk up and to find a place to take off again. Obviously, I was not in a very good place after landing out just after 30 kilometers on a day that was really good to fly. Took me a while just to calm down and relax. Then I looked at my phone, Google Maps. Trying to hike up to the mountain right there, that ridge. Hopefully it works. The idea is to take off there. And in case it doesn't, I have the same landing option where I landed before. Should work. It's gonna take me another hour to get up there. This gear is not light. A two-liner with a heavy comp harness. Yeah. So I decided to walk up. Initially I was thinking of walking up higher on this mountain, but as I was walking up I found this other place and I took off there instead. While walking up I checked out the places that they looked like options for landing. Like one option is right this place here. It's a parking lot, and so there was it's big. It was big enough for me to land there, so that's option one. Second option was the same place where I landed before on the flight before, so that's the same field basically. It's not great, but it's good enough to land. And then, well, that's about it. The altitude difference between the takeoff and my landings was maybe 150 meters or so. Well, it's windy, but the takeoff is all full of rocks. So that right there is potential landing zone. The other one is behind these bushes there. That's no good. It's Power Lambs River and Leaside. That's my first option. Wait for a good cycle, that's the being rock. And try to sort this thing up or something and get a thermal off here. Well, we'll see. Another thing that I have to mention is that I was flying with ballast about 15 kilograms and I had to empty the ballast because I wouldn't be able to hike up. I was taking off with a lighter wing, and this wing is not really nice when it's not loaded. I personally don't like it. It beats walking out for hours and hours and hours. The plan was to take off, climb out at the mountain, maybe go forward a bit and see how I feel, and then fly back to the car. Took off and went straight to the same place where I was struggling before. If you missed the video before, just click the link and go check out that first. I was scratching and trying to get up, and as it is already 3 p.m. it was a lot easier to get up and things were working somewhat. I did get a big collapse here, about right here. There you go. You can see I'm losing altitude and flying away from the mountain, and I lost all of my height that I just was struggling to gain, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was really down on my morale, and I thought I'm gonna land out and I will have to do the hiking and hitching, and I'm not gonna fly out because I definitely would not hike up again to try to fly out of there. So I just kept on scratching the side of the hill and trying to figure out where is the best place, and eventually I got some good lift and start climbing out and got even a thermal and just cautiously really worked my way up and got out of there. This was really a good feeling to get away and be flying again. It's now 3:25, 3:30, and I'm just making my way up to cloud base, and here I'm just kind of figuring out what's next. Not really planning. I didn't have really a good plan what to do, so I was just kind of looking at my phone when thermaling. And then I decided to go a little bit forward. Initially I thought maybe I could go some 30-50 k's forward and then back, but then I realized, well, it's almost 4 p.m. and if I want to get back to my car, it's better to go back. So I decided to go straight here because this ridge line, well, first there was some clouds, so I could follow the cloud street. So I had a really good indication for where is the thermals, because there was clouds. Always helps to have clouds. And you can see I have really nice glide ratio here. The reason for that is that these two valleys here combine and they create sort of a convergence line, and it kept me up really nicely, so I wasn't really losing altitude. And then I got a little lift there and moved forward, and I moved forward here following the ridgeline first, trying to find some lift out there. Didn't really work, and then here it was really good. It started lifting, and as you can see I'm gonna be drifting a bit. The winds are coming here from the west side, hits the mountain, comes up, and it drifts with the wind and because I'm quite a bit higher, I'm here at 2,200 meters. You can see that's quite a bit higher than the mountaintop. So the lifty line is drifting with the wind towards east. So that's what I'm doing here, and you can see I'm climbing up in straight because I'm under the clouds going just forward, even though I'm going into the wind with light glider. I didn't have the ballast, remember, so I'm really light heading into the wind, and still got a really nice glide here and even climb. It's just choosing the best line. Eventually I lost the cloud street and start sinking out, and I was just pushing forward to this mountain here. In the evening it works brilliantly as the west wind progresses more and hits the mountain pretty straight on. You have dynamic lift, plus the sun has moved around and heats it as well. And here you can see I moved forward, I got lift and then I got sink here. So I decided to come back to the lifty place and climb out a bit to be above the ridge. That's always a good idea. Being low here is not ideal because the winds were picking up a bit, and you have this mountain in front and then these little bumps here, and it all creates messier. So you always want to be a bit higher. So I decided to return back and gain some height and then start moving forward, and as you can see that's a better idea because it keeps me up pretty nice here. And then I thought I'll just kind of go forward. This place is a little convergence as well. You have this massive opening here, and you have the wind going around and coming from there. So this would usually work really good because there's multiple sources of lift, of thermal. Sure enough, got a lift. So I climbed out, and now I felt like it's holding me up enough, and I wasn't really gaining any height by turning, and I wasn't really losing any height by going forward. And that's again because it's a convergence on top of the hill, and it just kept me up. As you can see in the lift line here, I'm going up without the turn really, and the reason for that is because you have the wind coming in to this col, and it gets stuck. Like it gets kind of narrower here, and because of that, if I go up, see, it has to go somewhere, and it creates this kind of bubble in front that lifts everything. So I just used that, did a few turns, and decided to just connect to the bigger mountain. And you can see here, it's just everything is keeping me up. Just kept going straight and up. You know, no need to turn here. Just kept on going. So here I did a few turns, and the reason for the few turns was because I have a bigger transition ahead of me, and the transition is into the wind, and I don't have any more terrain around me to sustain and have this dynamic lift. So I wanted to find something, but didn't really work, and it still felt alright. So I did some turns here, but as you can see it's mostly zeros, and then you know what, I'm just gonna go, and I was high enough, and this hill in front is lower, so I could go around it if necessary. Sure enough, this mountain worked pretty nice as well, as it is in the sun and the wind is coming. Okay, so my car is here at the lake, up on top, on left corner. So most direct way would be just go straight there. But the reason I didn't do that is that on the left valley there, there's not much roads or cars, and if I bum out, it's a long walk. Where on the right side of me here, there's a nice road and there's more traffic, and I have a higher chance of hitching a ride to get back to my vehicle. So I decided to do that. The second reason I decided to use this mountain, this route, is because it's in front. It's more in front, so the dynamic lift is more effective on it than a bit behind. And then the third reason is that it's really difficult to cross from this area, this mountain range, to the next in front, because it's a bit on the lee side. You have the wind coming in from the west, from the right side on the picture, and if I come from bottom and I choose the line around there, then I will be in the lee side, and I have to get a thermal high enough to cross it forward. So I decided for smaller hills in front on the west side, and it turned out really well. As I gain height here, and I just gain enough, and again the winds were in my favor here, and I was going downwind and getting a really good glide, even climb, like 2 meter a second climb here without turning, and just going downwind and in a really nice lifty air. And I just kept on going forward. Like that's an amazing glide. Like I'm most of the glide I'm actually gaining height, so that's just beautiful evening air. You have the winds pushing off of these mountains and drifting off, as I explained before, and you have like all this is lifty because there's lots of trigger points in there and just keeps you up. And just went straight, and made it all the way to the car.